You know, one thing I am learning to appreciate about this whole YouTube phenomenon is the interactive part between myself and you. It seems like it's somewhat one-sided from me to you, but there is a part that is the other way around through your comments. But as I do projects like this or the mud wagon, the resource that you provide me through your ability and time to do research has really been beneficial. You know, when I did this mud wagon, all the pictures that you brought up from this Frank Matsura through the historical archives, you know, it really helped do that. Well, the same thing is happening on this manure spreader. I have laid out here, maybe it's been a month ago now, it's been a little while. I laid out the lettering that I thought, you know, might be a little more correct with this curving, manufacturing, and endless apron. Well, a number of you sent better pictures of a side shot of a newer manure spreader. And it's showing me that I have to go back to ground zero. The concept of the curve being different than the pre-1904 stenciled one is correct, but my letter styling is incorrect. And I didn't see it, and I questioned it when you sent pictures with the completely different style of letters. I questioned that because when I looked at that, I thought, well, this is a all metal-sided manure spreader. It's probably maybe a little too advanced. But then I went back to the color photograph that they use for advertising, and I saw it when I hadn't seen it before. And it comes down to the A, the first A in manufacturing on this curve, this one right here. And on the lower left of that A, I can see the remnant of a tail that comes down that is exactly the same as the black and white pictures that you all sent of the newer style lettering. I had been dragging my feet, not being able to decide what to do until I saw what I saw, how true that is so many times. So now I'm going to take and completely start all over again. I have the basic premise correct that the style changed, but I hadn't changed it enough. So I'm going to start with this one here and put it back on my makeshift drawing table and start over. So I have cut out some new transparent paper that I can put right on top of this, and I'm going to line up the stripes so that everything will be the same, because I'm using the stripes as a reference point to put this sign in position. Now this is a picture that a number of you sent to me, and you can see that the lettering style is completely different than the block style that I had put together. See the long tail at the top of the M, the lower left tail at the bottom of the A. This S in the Smith is totally different. Just the styles of the letters are completely different. Chicago, Illinois is different. The company after manufacturing has a different style. And you can see how big the word Smith is. It almost goes clear across the full framework that I have painted onto the side of the panel. So I have to not only change the style, I have to change the size. The manufacturing, I think, is probably going to be pretty close to the right size, but again, it's the wrong style. So I measured out my distance here. I have about 18 inches that I need to spread this Smith over. So about 3.5 inch spacing total blocks, and I have to crunch up between the M and the T to the I. I did take and just pencil in an I where I think it needs to be, and then I have the SM, and then TH that I have to space in equally. So this one here, it fits within this parameter. I need to stretch it way out here. And what I'm going to do is I took some graph paper. This one I made 3 by 3.5. That's going to be the S. And then I have some others that are 3 by 3. And I'm going to lay them out on this graph paper and figure out where I can place these. And I can put these underneath once I get the styles correct. And then I'll transfer it onto my transferred paper and put it on here. It's the same. Now I'm going to use the same curve here for my manufacturing, so I don't have to redo that over again. But I have to change the position and the style of these letters. So something else that came up when I did this initially, a number of you noticed that there was a larger space on each side of the second A of manufacturing. And I didn't see it until you pointed it out. But there was one that explained what that was and what it is called. He was a graphic designer, perhaps still is, and he called it kerning. I had never heard that term before, so it made me look into it a little more. And so now I understand in graphic layout like this what kerning means. So this letter A has too large of a space between the A and the C and the F and the A, even though I had taken and blocked out each space uniformly. But you noticed the difference here. So what I put in here initially was a 3/8 space. Well, the space between the letters is larger than that 3/8. So this side here, this A actually needs to go in 1/4 of an inch. And then even though I have a 3/8 space here, you can see the large space here to the closest F. So this side here, I actually need to come in this direction 3/8 of an inch. So this would be old style cut and paste. I actually need to take this A out and move it over 1/4 of an inch. And then this MANUF actually needs to be cut out and brought over 3/8 plus the 1/4. So I need to come over 5/8 of an inch and close this gap up so that the space actually between the letters remains consistent. See, these other ones would be a 3/8 space, a 3/8 space. These have 3/8 spaces. Those are all fine, but it's this space, because of the angle of the A, becomes greater. That's why it looks like it's too big a space, even though all my spaces, when I blocked them out, are uniform. And that's what I was taught is called kerning. So I learned something, and I appreciate that. That's the benefit of you who watch that know what you're doing. I was aware of that concept on this I in the Smith, and I knew I couldn't have a great big space here, so I did bring these together, but I didn't understand what it was called. I understood the concept, but now I know the terminology as well. So when it came down to this A, even though I understood it on the I on Smith, I just didn't pick up on it and just totally missed it, but I see it now. So my hope is that I can do this on graphic layout here and kind of get it in my mind how this is going to work. And maybe when I get to the manufacturing, I'll be a little more implanted into my brain just what it needs to be. So kind of the unique difference about this style of letter is the graduations and the thicknesses. In some ways, this style is a little easier to make than the block letters because you allow for that variation. And when you're freehanding with the paintbrush, it gives you a little more liberty. So maybe something like so. This will be 3.5 inch tall on the S. This top comes a little taller than that. The basic will be about 3 inches wide, something like so. So now my hope is that I can space these underneath my tracing paper here once I get all of them done. And I drew a line across here where they need to kind of be somewhere in there. See, my other Smith is here. Now we're going to be full width, but I'll have to do the M for here and then the TH. So all these other letters have a type of top cap to them. They come kind of like so. And they also do a bottom cap, almost kind of like a pedestal. So these are going to be 1/2 inch. I'm going to make them on the heavy part. So one side of this M is thick and heavy and the other side is thin. So this top cap will be a little smaller. I'm going to make these somewhere between 3/16 and 1/4. And again, this is just the layout that I can transfer to the panel. It'll all be subject to what I do when I actually paint it on. So halfway up would be 3 inch block, would be in here somewhere. I want this leg to be 1/2 inch. And like so, might be a little off on this one here. I should have that line come into that corner. That's going to be a little more style of my M. I think that's what I see from the picture. Kind of like so. I just have to figure out what spacing should be in here. I'm thinking maybe 1.5 inches. These need to spread out just a bit. Maybe something like so, and that'll put it in pretty close proximity of where it was on the old original sign. Then I'll just transfer it over. like so. So that's the big difference from the other Smith underneath here to now we're spread out full width of this panel. That seems to be like the new pictures that everybody sent me. So the TH of Smith is on the old picture close here, but I'm not thinking it's maybe quite that close. So if I want to drop this whole thing, I can take this top sheet and actually raise it up, which I think I will. Keep my sides parallel. Maybe a little more like that. That's going to raise it up about, what, ½ an inch additional. So then my curve can follow this old original one. I'll have a little more space here, but still be pretty close. So the C in manufacturing is my center letter. So now knowing what kerning is, when I put these in, I'm going to have to actually move this A over. And I'll move this MAUF over as well. But follow this same basic flowing banner pattern. So I'm going to try to do some old school before computers cut and paste. So I need to move this A over. I have 3/8 of an inch. I need to move this over. So the F and the A has 3/8 of an inch of space. Right there. So that makes it more correct when you consider what kerning is. So I should be able to put the new style letters on top of the old ones for my placement, but have them in the correct position. And that might be easier said than done. So we want a top cap here. This side gets a narrow leg, doesn't it? Well, maybe this side should be taller. So the top of this M, according to that old picture, it comes clear out to the first letter of this U. Assuming it kind of follows this contour. And this A is heavy on the right. And narrow on the left. And the cross of the A is a little below half. this tail comes out to about the bottom of this center of this M. Looking at it again, it has a more curve to it. It actually comes more like so, I think. I wonder if it doesn't have something like the bottom of that S or something. Yeah, it seems to be kind of more what the style of that old picture looks like. So this A will be the same, and I'll just have to go back and forth to the pictures and kind of put this together. I noticed looking at the old sign that all this is over a little bit. This G should be over, the N was underneath the H. This M is pretty close to the position on the S up on top. So maybe this was expanded out a little bit. But you know, I'm not going to redo it for that. I think our letter style is closer, this is closer. This is not blocked in. It looks like it was just hand painted out. And I'll just sketch that in by hand as single stroke of the paintbrush will do. So I want to say thank you once again to all of you who sent better pictures of the side shot so I have a better idea of what is really correct. I think we're going in the right direction. I have to do the second sign that has Great Western Endless Apron, but it'll be the same principle. I don't have to cut and paste on that one. Anyway, appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.